Welcome to the latest episode of CVC Growthonomics. I'm very happy today because my article on the myths and realities of single source of truth, you all know how important single source of truth is for me, how close it is to my heart. My article made it to the cover of Business Intelligence Journal. For those of you interested, I'm going to give a link in the comment section for you guys to follow through, and I'm sure it'll be interesting to all of you. Today, I'm going to continue our conversation from last time. We've been talking about 2022 readiness, and we talked about analytics agenda. So you remember this was an app for the food delivery app, and you guys, we talked about what were the two most important metrics for this organization: growth and revenue and profit. And we talked about how you lay out the agenda for this organization. And so remember last time we had sized it, these driver metrics from the growth, from the KPIs, and what, sizing it by the impact that it can create. So now you have identified 15 to 20 projects that you're going to drive impact. Today I'm going to talk about how are you going to operationalize the analytics agenda, right? We have talked about ideal scenario, 15 to 20 projects you've identified. Your stakeholders have also nodded head. How are you going to operationalize it? But before we go into that, let me ask you a question. As a head of product, let's say you're head of product or head of data or head of insights, or even a head of product on the other side, what is your key role? What is your OKR? What is your top project? What is your key role? What is your objective? And I may say something that may not be something you have understood as your role. Your role is not to support your product organization or product counterpart. Your role, I believe, is not to support your marketing organization. I believe your role is to monetize the data you have, to drive impact from the data. You have data coming in, you have businesses which are running. Can you monetize the data to drive impact? That, I believe, is your key role. And so if that is your key role, then you can't lose sight of these 15 to 20 projects you're doing, because this is your best bet that in 2022, you can easily and deliberately say, my team drove $10 million of incremental revenue or $100 million incremental revenue. We doubled the revenue this year because of my team's work. So if you agree with that, if you agree that your key role is to do that, the question is, now you've set out this agenda, on a day-to-day basis, your product manager, your marketing folks, they're going to ask your cavalry, your analyst, questions like, this is all great, but hey, we just launched the campaign last week or last month. Can you tell me how my campaign is doing? And you need to be able to help your analyst, work in that environment to be able to still keep an eye on or actually work on these projects. How are you going to do that? You have, on a day-to-day basis, you have operational needs. And how do you have permission? Do your analysts have permission to actually work on these big things? And they cannot work on these big things in vacuum. They have to work with the stakeholders because the stakeholders are going to take action on it. So how are you going to do that? I'm going to leave you with one tip today. If you can do that, you will see already a big shift towards these big projects. Instill a discipline of including a field called expected impact, expected outcome from the project. So whether you use Jira or Confluence or Google Form, whatever your mechanism of taking input for the questions that the product or marketing team or operations team has of your analyst, ask them this question: what is the expected outcome or expected impact from this project? Now, if the onus is back on the product or marketing person and they ask the question, hey, how did my campaign last do? They have to think about it, because if it is just a nice to know, hey, I would just like to know how it's doing, versus, I want to know because I actually need to, based on that learning, we're going to be able to change processes within the acquisition process that we are able to solve, improve our return on ad spend by 10%. So if the answer is, it's a nice to know, there isn't any impact, you need to give permission to your analyst to be not able to do that. And if you are able to do that, you are actually going to grow your team, retain your analyst team, because they're going to be working on something interesting stuff. They are going to be able to drive impact. So you are not only going to be making sure that you're working on big things, but you're also actually going to drive retention within your organization and create greater satisfaction within your employees as well as product person. So Ask them this question. If this is nice to know, nice to have, nice to know, don't do that. And give them the permission that they don't need to do the analytics. That becomes P3, P4 in your project list. The other thing which happens, if they say, hey, this project is going to drive 10% incremental in return on ad spend, then give them the permission to change that conversation back to the larger conversation of, hey, can we look at this campaign analysis in the larger acquisition campaigns to be able to actually move our ROS by 100% instead of 15%. And if you do that, you are while your analyst, will be supporting your organization on a day-to-day tactical basis, they will keep working on these some larger things. So my rule of thumb is any analyst should be working on one large project at any given time. And then they can be doing I would say 40% of their time should be on one big project, one of these 15 to 20 projects. And then the other 60% of project they can do on a tactical day-to-day support. More you move your analyst time, so this day-to-day tactical support, I believe, should go into a self-serve tool, right? So how you going to keep your focus on big agenda is if you're going to give your marketing product team self-serve tool, be it Tableau, any BI tool, Tableau or Click or MicroStrategy, whatever that tool is, Power BI. If you are able to instrument more and more these common questions that they have, campaign analytics, there should be a campaign dashboard that they should be able to, your marketing should be able to do self-serve. That will free up the time for your analysts to work on these big things so that in 2022 come back, you can come back and say and actually fulfill your role, which is I drove X million dollar impact on our top line. So, and you can do that, like I said, summarizing, change your process of taking insights, ask for insights by changing this expected income, adding this expected income, expected outcome to the thing. And the other is focus on this self-service tool, making sure that those day-to-day tactical stuff gets answered by self-service tool. Next time, I want to talk about what is it, how do you empower your analysts, your cavalry, so that they're not just people who are following orders, but they're actually thought leaders. And so I'm going to introduce that to you next time. And for all of you, if you have any questions, you want to sort of challenge any of the things I've talked about, please do. If you ask questions, I will, in the comment section, I will answer back. See you next time.